Welcome back. I'm Rick Sanchez, filling in for Paula Zahn. Out in the open, possible plans to bring a controversial Disney classic out of the studio vaults of Disney. I'm talking about the film Song of the South. Disney is now considering reissuing this movie on video and on DVD. Now, critics say the problem is that this movie is blatantly racist, blatantly offensive to African Americans. Yet a growing number of people believe that it's about time that the movie is, in fact, re-released. Interesting argument. Here's entertainment correspondent Brooke Anderson with this one.
Disney's 1946 movie, Song of the South, has been locked in the company's vaults for decades. Never released for home viewing in the United States, even though it won an Oscar for its song, Zippity-Doo-Dah, and inspired the Splash Mountain rides at Disney's theme parks. For years, the film has been blasted as racist for the way it depicts Southern blacks. The primary character, Uncle Remus, is seen as a servile, happy-go-lucky simpleton bubbling over with ain't nobodies, ain't nevers, and you tells'ems, a stereotype that, for many, dangerously glamorizes the harsh reality of post-slavery America.
There ain't no place that far.
That film is racially demeaning, it's insulting, and it's offensive. It's a painful reminder of our past, where blacks were depicted as buffoons.
That's what Miss Doshi, I knows that.
Civil rights advocate Najee Ali is glad the film has been locked up all these years and wants it to stay that way.
The Disney Corporation is going to find out very soon, if they do release this film, that African Americans will be outside protesting, that bringing back up that painful reminder is a slap in the face to our ancestors.
Despite the potential backlash, Disney chief Bob Iger is considering releasing the film, saying, quote, "There were depictions in the film that, viewed in today's world, might not be viewed as kindly or as politically correct as perhaps they may have been in that time. But we have decided that we would look at it again." Niger Innes from the Congress on Racial Equality is well aware of the film's rocky history with blacks.
James Baskett, who was the first live black actor hired by Disney to do this, could not go to the premiere of this film in Atlanta because he could not get a hotel room that would sleep him for the night because of segregation.
However, unlike Ali, Innes believes Disney has been wrong to block the movie. He does want the studio to release the film as long as it's accompanied by special features to educate fans.
For example, you could very easily have a documentary, the making of the film, Song of the South. Use entertainment to really educate and show a little bit of American history.
Should Disney decide to put the film on DVD, the title stands to become very profitable.
This was my first item.
Christian Willis has spent the last decade collecting anything and everything related to Song of the South. He says the film's fan base is massive.
I would say that there are hundreds of thousands of people out there that are hopeful.
More than 118,000 people have signed a petition now located on Willis's website urging Disney to make the move.
They all want to see this movie released. They don't see anything wrong with it.
Everything is satisfaction.
For now, fans and foes will have to wait and see if Disney's Song of the South buzzes onto store shelves, or once again, if the studio decides that would be a zippity-doo, don't. Brooke Anderson, CNN, Hollywood.
Like I even have to tell you this, right? That this is going to be a perfect topic for our Out in the Open panel. Joining us once again, Roland Martin, Niger Innes, who just saw in Brooke's piece, by the way. You look very handsome, I should add.
What's a good-looking guy on that?
And
so what happened?
Miguel,
cheap shot.
Miguel Perez, equally handsome. Should people see this again? Should people see this again?
Well, I think first and foremost, there are a number of movies that are out that were done during that period of time. If you apply that standard, don't show Gone with the Wind. If you apply that standard, don't show an Al Jolson film. Don't show folks in blackface.
Don't show Moses. They were slaves in that one too.
Don't show
Roots.
Don't show Bilbo Jangles. No, but Roots is different, different movie. And in fact, the 30th anniversary is actually that movie is this Sunday, and it's being shown on another network. But the point is, there are a number of movies that are being broadcast that we see, and so that it's a different kind of deal here.
So so historically, if it's put in perspective, it's okay. Well, is that fair?
Wait a minute, but there are a number of movies that are not put in perspective. They're simply shown on television. You can buy them in video stores. This is a different standard because Disney chose to lock it away in its vault.
And let me tell you something, Roland's right. Not only are there a number of movies, But Song of the South is one of those movies that has been re-released as recently in this country in 1986, and it's been released in Europe and in Asia.
What do you guys feel like as African Americans when you watch this and when you watch people literally creating just ridiculous caricatures of African Americans?
Well, first of all,
at a time when it was done all the time.
First of all, I am more offended by the caricatures and the ignorance that I see in some movies today than I am in this particular movie here. Absolutely. Well, because first of all, this is 2007. I mean, I understand that, you know, in terms of what that setting was. At the same time, what also offends me is when he acted as if it did not happen. Again, so I'm not jumping up and down in terms of, oh, Disney, don't release this film. Again, I am more offended by what I hear and see today in this particular film.
There's a particular guy who wants this released, and he's apparently got an axe to grind in this thing. Here's what he says. I'm going to read it to you. Will, if you could, put it up on the screen for us. He says, I must stress that Disney used only innocent stereotypes. That is, stereotypes that do not make fun of characteristics of people or things. That's Christian Willis, by the way. He runs
What does that mean?
It's interesting. He runs a fan type of Song of the South.
Miguel, can you help me with that? I don't know what that means.
Do you think that's harmless?
Look,
is there a difference?
I guess some people want us to think that they were happy slaves. You know, how those two things just don't go together. I mean, it's a myth to try to make people believe that they are...
A stereotype is a stereotype is a stereotype.
But also a reality is a reality.
Yeah. The only difference is the person who's being stereotyped tends to take it a little differently than the person who's not.
Well, there's no question about that. That's for sure. And you don't want to create an artificial, superficial image of what life was like. And the interesting thing about this movie, Song of the South, is it was based on a number of articles written by Joel Chandler, who was a white boy, a real person, white boy that grew up around former slaves and got these stories of black folklore stories from these former slaves. And here you have this rich piece of history. It was actually printed in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in the 1870s or 1880s. Here you have, Disney has this opportunity to grasp the bull by the horns, and Roland is dead right. There are so many movies that are a reflection of that period and the mindset of whites against blacks. I mean, here's an opportunity to do something educational.
Go ahead. Bilbo Bojangles, then Shirley Temple. I mean,
Miguel,
come on, take your pick.
You know, but to answer your question, it should be released so that it can stimulate this kind of debate, so that we can educate people.
That's
I mean, this is going to fight ignorance.
There's a whole generation of Americans that need to know what life was like, the real life was like after the Civil War, and even in 1946 when this was released.
Anything that fosters intelligence and discussion, if it's in this realm, then it's a good thing.
Absolutely, and as Nigel said, when you understand the backstory, when he couldn't go to the film, Hattie McDaniel, when she couldn't do certain things, even though she won an Oscar, again, when you understand that, it puts it in context versus just the film.
You guys have been great. Can you come back?
We'll try.
Roland Martin, Nigel Innes, of course, and Miguel Perez. Thanks to all three of you gentlemen. You know, we all get lots of advice about handling our money, but one man's advice is so shocking, so urgent, we think he's one of the people that you should know. Meet him in just a minute. And then stick around for Larry King Live. Star Jones Reynolds and Beyonce. I got to see her today. She was walking around the studio today.
Oh, my.
Yes, she was right here.
She's left.
Ring me along.
That's coming up. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Serial killer will tell you what evidence the jurors saw today.
Plus, the man convicted of killing an L.A. deputy learns his sentence. You'll hear from the deputy's family.
Plus, should a new car raffle be an incentive to join a church? We'll take a look at one pastor's controversial program.
Eyewitness News at 6 is next.
When you see news happening, call the Eyewitness News tip line toll free at 877-777-NEWS.